What unconventional ingredient belongs in a burger? Who is one actor that was perfectly cast and for what role? What job contributes nothing to society? Patent trolls. 100% legal. Zero contribution to society. Just a person who has their hands out asking for money along the way. Those people who make long-winded Facebook videos which promise a lot but where nothing happens. Extended warranty call center. It's always for a warranty that you do not have or never would have had. I remember this quote about how in the future there will just be a man and a dog. The man's job is to feed the dog and the dog's job is to keep the man away from all the machinery. I don't understand. Neither do I. What are you talking about? Journalists who write clickbait articles, page after page of deliberately prolonged text and ads. You'll never believe what she told the waiter. Click next to find out. People who make reaction videos. Do people still do that, like often? BMW blinker installer. Is that an actual job or is that just a dig that BMW drivers do not use their blinker whatsoever? Reddit admin. Instagram influencer. I still don't know what an influencer means. Like, they just influence you to buy products? Then sure, I guess. What story of yours sounds totally made up but is actually 100% true? To shake his hand when being introduced to Bill Gates, I handed him a margarita. Back in 6th form when I had to take the bus to get there, I was once late because the bus driver thought he was driving a totally different bus route. Divorced and fought cancer by 23. Good lord, man, you don't need to achievement hunt that quickly. One of my toenails fell off and is now floating around in the sea because I dropped a plate on my foot. Ew. I vomited into a trash can in my room and then started to shit myself at the same time. Man, that's unbelievable. I mean, I can believe that because it's happened to a few people I know. Not the trash can bit, but still. I stepped on a Lego with bare feet once and didn't cry. Okay, but you are lying. You're absolutely lying. What's the smallest amount of power you've seen go to someone's head? I'd say a lot of fast food managers really go crazy with it. Being a Reddit moderator. Wild. Draw 4. Fool. +2. Uno really does give you those anime moments. Line leader in my daughter's preschool class. The line moves where my will dictates. Facebook group admins. People take a lot of social media, like power roles, way too seriously. How do you feel about mint chocolate chip ice cream? I like it, but sometimes the chocolate chips are too much. I wish there was just straight mint ice cream. So, kind of funny story in my family. My grandmother has a major sweet tooth, but was always on some crazy diet. So she started keeping mint chocolate chip ice cream around. She hated the flavor and figured if that was the only dessert she had as an option, she'd have dessert less. But naturally, it just made mint chocolate chip become her favorite flavor. On the flip side, I loved it as a kid. Loved mint, had that weird mint chip flavored gum, would always become my go-to flavor until I got extremely sick of it. Now I pretty much don't have the stuff and sometimes wonder if her method would make me love it again or actually be effective in keeping me from having it. I always enjoyed it. I now also like that it has the bonus feature of repulsing my husband so I don't worry about him eating it all before I get to have some, like with every other ice cream flavor in the house. Growing up, I was the only boy. I had 3 older sisters. The only other male in my home was my dad. All the girls liked mint chocolate chip ice cream. My father did not. So when we got ice cream, we would get the mint chip and then something else for my dad. Well, my stupid child brain assumed it was because mint chip was for girls and whatever my dad got was boy flavor. I didn't even try the mint chip ice cream until I was a teenager. It is super good, by the way. I'm glad you figured out ice cream does not have gender stereotypes, so thank you. Mint chocolate Oreo is elite. Oh, absolutely. It's like cookies and cream ice cream, but it's mint. Oh, baby. I don't like it. Ice cream is already cold, and then the extra feeling of coolness from the mint is overbearing for me. You know, that's fair enough. I agree. It tastes like frozen toothpaste. Are you saying you don't eat toothpaste? Chips gotta be small but noticeable, or at least some kind of softer chocolate. There's nothing worse than biting into a fat chunk of frozen chocolate. With that, truly S-tier ice cream, not gonna lie. I feel seen, I feel heard, because sometimes the chocolate chips are just like big chunks, and it's like, why would I want this. What is an unofficial tax on the poor? Bank overdraft fees. 100%. Like, if I do not have enough money, do not let me spend it? Like, what? What are you talking about? Many poor neighborhoods don't have options. They have just one pharmacy or one grocery store or one gas station. So those businesses can charge higher prices since their customers don't have anywhere else to go. When you are poor, everything is taxing. Very, very true, actually. Rent. I can't afford to buy a house, so I have to rent, otherwise I'll have no place to live. But all my money is going towards rent and food, so I have no money to save for a house down payment, and rent is rising. What's worse is rent is more than a mortgage. This actually makes me think of a previous question of what job doesn't contribute to society, and it's landlords. Being forced into what's often a lower quality education because, at least in America, local property tax dollars are the primary funding source for public schools. Late fees. Oh, 100%. Like, it's unbelievable. Even with internet, it's like $10 each week that you don't pay, up to like $150. That's so much more. The lottery. I guess I see that. It's kind of just preying on desperate people. Payday loans. Do not fall for those scams of like, oh yeah, this app sent me $100 and now I can pay for food. No, because you have to pay that back later. It's not free money. What is the weirdest fake fact you've seen people believe? Other than flat earth, let's see what people said. That Mountain Dew and hydrogen peroxide glow in the dark when mixed. Einstein failed high school math. I love making up lies about historical figures because who actually knows this? That if you type in your debit card PIN backwards, it is a way to contact the police if you're being held robbed at an ATM. I've literally never heard this before. I can't imagine this working. Steel wool comes from sheep that graze in iron-rich pastures. While that would be cool, I mean, that only would exist in a fantasy world. A former friend once expressed his dislike for wind turbines because they slow down the wind. No, buddy, whatever. If you read, your eyes become warm, and if you step out into the cold while your eyes are warm, they'll be damaged. My mom actually believes this. I mean, if that's true, then I'm in winter time, so I might need some workers' comp. For me, it's gotta be Pizzagate. If you genuinely believed Pizzagate, then never speak to me. Margarine is plastic. It's not that it is plastic, the rumor was that it's one ingredient away from being plastic. Deer turn to elk at a given altitude. I've never understood how people believe this one. Animals are not like Pokemon, everyone. They don't go to higher altitude to evolve like you would give it a firestone or something. Pineapples grow on trees. They don't. They grow on pineapple bushes. It is a little strange that they come from the ground, though. You can spawn 1 pound of anything 2 times a year into the palm of your hand. What are you choosing? Seeds of extinct plants. I like that answer. You're being a little selfless with it. I like it. These Buffalo seasoned sesame sticks I got down in Arizona when I was 17. Every once in a while I get a hankering for them, but they're not super easy to get a hold of. But I think a pound twice a year would satisfy that craving, but keep them limited enough to be a special occasion. I hope in this scenario I can spawn them in a bag though, cause otherwise it'll just make a mess all over the floor. I feel bad that my first thought was donuts. Wouldn't be rich, but hey, I have donuts. Homer Simpson? 1 pound of Jeff Bezos blank checks with his signature, of course. Checkmate. How about 1 pound of Jeff Bezos? Just steadily over the course of a few years, you just deteriorate him into nothing? Poker chips of the highest realistic value. The money is already laundered for you. I read pork chops and I was like, yeah, good idea. Saffron. Okay, is saffron like super expensive? I don't know enough about like spices. The Philosopher's Stone. I know what it really is, and I choose enlightenment. What is the best thing you have heard/learned from therapy? When you place unexpressed expectations on someone, you are the one setting yourself up to be let down. No one sees the version of you that you see of yourself. The brain isn't designed to keep us happy. It's designed to keep us alive. Harsh truth, but yeah, sure. The fact that you are high functioning doesn't mean that your illness is easier for you to deal with. It means it's easier for others to deal with. People aren't nearly as concerned about everything I'm doing as I think they are. They're busy enough being self-conscious about their own behaviors. Never think you're in it alone, because everybody's dealing with something. You just can't see it all the time. Sometimes when we procrastinate, it's because we need to feel control. Even when the only thing we can control is choosing not to do something. Even when it contributes to making our situation worse. Took me years to come to terms with that one, that you can't control how people act towards you, but you can control how you react to them. It's something I use with my 9 and 6-year-old to help them, and it's so effective. Just lurking so my broke, depressed can absorb some secondhand professional advice. I mean, hey, in this economy, you gotta get it where you can find it. What's the absolute best smell in the world to you? We'll never forget the smell of eucalyptus trees while driving near the California coast on a sunny day. I moved from the UK to Canada, and it's really hard to get British tea over here. I get really homesick sometimes, and occasionally I find a box of PG Tips in the grocery store. I love opening a fresh box of that tea and just inhaling because it smells exactly like my dad's kitchen when I was a kid. Baking bread. There is just something really nice about it. Freshly laundered sheets. The best part is the IRS will never know. Fresh cut lumber, especially cedar. Haven't had many opportunities to smell freshly cut wood, but maybe one day. My wife's hair. She flips it around, I smell it, and I'm like, okay, you tell me what you need done. Garlic simmering in olive oil. Oh, come on, don't make me hungry right now. The smell of soil when it rains. Oh, yeah. Blowing out a candle. I don't know why I love it, LOL. What's a terrible way to die? Burnt to death or mauled to death by a dog are some of the most painful ones, but the worst to me is starvation. Slowly, over weeks without food, shriveling up until you take your last breath. Boiled. Some people discuss whether it's worse to die drowned or burnt, but I gotta tell you, the worst one definitely is getting boiled. Basically, it's a non-stop torture since you'll slowly get hotter and hotter from the inside, feeling all your organs burn, and there'll be a moment where even breathing will hurt. It's a really slowly death, so yeah, I think it's the worst way to die. Yeah, now you're gonna think twice about boiling that crab or lobster or whatever. I would have to say if you were an astronaut and you died slowly drifting away from Earth, I mean, that would end up being suffocation, right? I think that guy who went cave diving, got stuck upside down, and had a heart attack while trapped was a pretty that way to go. I imagine dying in a crowd crush like those poor souls in Seoul on Halloween. You can see freedom just past you, but are slowly being smothered by others, slowly smothering frightened people, and are unable to move to get there. Peeling your hangnail super slowly, skin that keeps peeling all the way to your face / back / leg / chest until there's no more skin. Okay, people aren't gonna unravel like a fruit roll-up. I don't know how you're getting this idea. My deepest fear since childhood is being trapped in something that is slowly filling with water. The panic, the fear, the desperation, fighting for air, fighting to live while knowing there is no way out. Makes me want to cry and throw up just thinking about it. What's a hill you're willing to die on every time? Health insurance should cover the whole body. The fact that vision and dental are separate things is a pure cash grab. Public libraries are undervalued by many. Apparently mine has like a public 3D printer and laser cutter? Like, I didn't know that. Use a goddamn turn signal. Really isn't hard, people. Built into every car. Children beauty pageants are creepy as fuck, and parents who subject their children to such scrutiny and judgment are crazy and don't deserve children. People are completely fine with immoral / morally gray actions as long as it's someone they like doing it. Radio stations should play more than 250 songs. Disagreeing is not a personal attack. It depends on what you're disagreeing about. Apologies mean nothing without changed behaviors. This is very true. If you just apologize over and over but do nothing to change, then you are the problem. What did you try and find out it's not for you? A lot of sports growing up. Oh, I tried almost everything. Being a cop, not the right personality for it. Went back to being a medic. Good choice. The hospitality sector. I can't even begin to imagine the amount of crap you had to deal with. Being a fucking people pleaser. Good for you. It is definitely not great. Programming. You would think with how much time I spend on my computer, I'd be okay with programming, but coding is, my brain hurts. Polyamory. At least you gave it a shot. I mean, it's definitely not for everyone, but good on you for trying. Today. I tried today, and it's just not working for me. I want to go back to bed and try again tomorrow. Well, that's the glory of life, pal. You can. People who work in morgues or with the dead, what is the creepiest thing you've witnessed? Funeral director here. About 15 years ago, I had a lady whose husband passed from a terrible motorcycle accident. When she came in to make arrangements, she mentioned that she wanted his leather jacket back. Not terribly uncommon for people to want the personal effects back. However, in this case, the jacket was ripped and torn and saturated with blood and had bone fragments embedded in it. Personal effects from the coroner's office are usually returned returned in a sealed bag. The second it was given to her, she took it out and put it on. It smelled terrible. I truly hope she is doing okay now. I mean, people grieve in different ways. If someone's been down for more than a day or two, they'll start decomposing from the inside out. If the room is quiet enough, you can hear lots of gurgling and rumbling as the gases and fluids are moving around inside. And then you move them and they groan as the residual air in their lungs is forced out past their vocal cords. I will admit that would be very creepy if the dead person went, ugh. My wife is a mortician. She's had quite a lot of wacky experiences. This is more funny than creepy, but once she was trying to break up the rigor mortis in a deceased's hip by flexing the entire leg up. Her grip slipped and the leg swung down. The heel cracked her right in the face, resulting in a black eye. She had to explain to people that she's not in an abusive relationship, she just got kicked in the face by a dead guy. That is a really funny story to tell at like parties, just, oh yeah, no, dead guy, fought back. Worked at a mortuary for a few years. We have methods to keep the jaw shut for viewing. Otherwise, it would gape open due to the angle of the head and neck. During a viewing, the device failed and this gentleman's mouth literally popped open. The lead embalmer was not on site, so I did my best. Ushered the family out of the room and superglued his mouth shut, but he didn't have teeth and supergluing just his lips did not work. It looked as if he was attempting to scream. I had to call in one of our other mortuaries in town and that embalmer used a giant needle and thread to sew his mouth shut from under his chin to his palate. Oh, gross. I don't like that. Sometimes a fresh corpse will get shaky limbs. Make it a to bag it in a hurry. I'm not dead. What? I'm not dead. He says he's not dead. I got punched in the balls by a dead guy. I used to work hospital security. Part of our job was to help with 1080 assists, movement of bodies to and out of the morgue. I was on a call to move one and the body's limbs were sticking out at odd stiff angles. I attempted to move the corpse's arms into a better spot to shimmy the bag into the body fridge. His arm stayed in place for a moment, but when I released my grip, smack! Old buddy hit me right in the sack. Look, if he wanted a T-pose, let him rest easy. What gets grosser the longer you think about it? The digestive system. Technically a hole through your body. Toothbrushes. You use it to clean your dirty mouth every day, hopefully twice. Then leave it to sit in the bathroom until you use it again, just using water to rinse it off. Yeah, the amount of dust and like pee particles that could get on there is a little gross. Swallow some spit. Now spit it onto a cup and swallow it. I do think the rule of thumb is once a bodily fluid leaves the body, it is a little bit grosser to take it in again. There's poo inside of you always. Nuh-uh, I poop it all out. Eyelash mites. The fact that the base of your eyelashes is a giant forest for these tiny little creatures. Yes, you have them. The fact that if you smell something, you're most likely tasting it too. Kissing. It's fucking weird. Let me briefly open my squished up mouth on your skin to show you my affection. Or, let's spend a few seconds smushing our dirty face holes together because we love each other. Weird. They're just mad that nobody's wanting to kiss them. What's a movie that genuinely had you bawling with laughter? Naked Gun. Those old spoof movies really were something. Planes, trains, and automobiles. I remember being in tears the first time I saw the highway truck scene. The steering wheel being bent forward. Tropic Thunder. By today's standards, it is a little problematic, but it's kind of funny. Death at a Funeral. British version. One of the funniest films I have seen in a long time. What We Do in the Shadows. Same with the new TV show. The TV show is actually pretty good. Women of Reddit. What's one thing all men should know about periods? Periods can last anywhere from 3 days to 10-ish days each month, and can range from very light flow of blood to so heavy it looks like you're bleeding to death for several days straight. It's different for every woman and can differ from period to period. We cannot control when we get them, and we can't just hold it in. Did somebody tell you to just hold it in before? What a moron! It is nothing like the tampon ads at all. Just one fucking sneeze can bring ultimate chaos. Premenstrual syndrome, PMS, can be awful for some, and can even be worse than the actual period itself. Depends on the person though. Days before a period, you can feel exhaustion, cramps, bloating, acne, food cravings, mood swings, and more. Also, if you have PMS for a week, then a period for a week, there are only 2 weeks out of the month where you are not in terrible pain. That's half your existence dealing with period-related pain. Men, please treat your women right. Like, come on, they're dying, like every day. Sleeping on that bloody first night of pain is hellish. What tastes better? A little burnt. Potatoes. Hash browns specifically. Broccoli. I don't know why, but broccoli. Most anything you grill. I like things a bit more than a little charred. Grilled onions. Grilled cheese, 100%. Oh God, I really want a grilled cheese and some tomato soup. Oh, I'm so hungry. Cauliflower. It's like a totally different vegetable once you've roasted it and have gotten some charring on it. Never been a big fan, but maybe I'll try it. What is the worst feeling ever? Kidney stones. I'm praying I never get those. I'm trying to drink more water, okay? That feeling you get right after losing a person/pet that you loved so dearly. It's such a hopeless feeling. Like you're reaching out and crying for someone who just minutes before was there. That's the worst feeling ever. That gut-wrenching feeling you get when you realize you f***ed up something very badly and you can't fix it anymore. You know that feeling when you just wake up and for a second everything seems okay? Yeah, the feeling right after when you remember everything is, in fact, not okay. When you are eating and you suddenly hear a crack and realize you just broke your tooth. I feel like that's also followed up by searing pain in your mouth, shitting yourself on a plane. Oh, I hope that never happens. Just the amount of embarrassment and like helplessness because you can't do anything. What should be illegal to put ketchup on? Chocolate. Who's doing this? Someone else's child. But on your own child is perfectly fine? I mean, the kid's gonna put ketchup on themselves regardless. Like, I mean, who am I to stop them? My stepdaughter enjoys ketchup with Oreos. Oh no, don't say that. An open wound. Why? Are you trying to confuse people? Like, it's not a prank. Banana. Oh, it looks like we got a minion in the chat. My kid dips his blueberries in ketchup. That should at least be a misdemeanor. What is with fruit and ketchup? I get it, it's fruit on fruit, but what are you doing? What was the incident at your high school? When I was a sophomore, it was known around campus that a specific set of lockers that was between the campus and football field was off limits because over summer break, some kids blew the door off a locker with a dry ice bomb in a Propel bottle. Shrapnel! 2 years into my relationship with my now husband, he starts telling a very familiar story, and I realize he was the fabled dry ice bomber my school had been talking about for the past 7 years. I was at my grad ceremony, and this one guy, while walking the stage, pulled his pants down and mooned everyone. Not exactly sure what happened to him, but I heard he got suspended and got his diploma taken away from him. I don't understand a punishment like that. He already got the diploma. Do you want to keep him in the school after an action like that? Somebody attempted to burn down the school, but only half succeeded. They had to demolish the old part of the school where the fire was started and rebuild an entire new wing. Bright side was we got the first 25-meter pool in the country. You heard it here first, kids. Burn down your school, get a new pool. Don't do that, actually. It's not gonna always work. And that's arson. Some kid shit his pants and threw up while we were doing a couple miles run. Worst part is the closest person to him when it happened was his crush. Oh no. Oh, buddy. Our entire class of over 600 kids was kicked out of a pep rally for having too much pep. This girl got accused of having fake boobs, so she pulled them out. Okay, weird school, I guess. One of the students in my high school had some kind of issue with her bowels. When she shit herself in the school's main area, a nearby student recorded her and shared the video with the entire school. I wasn't involved, but I'm sure the student in question is probably traumatized from that. Yeah, that's kind of cyberbullying to a certain extent. What fan base genuinely scares you? Some of the craziest people I ever met were in the knitting community. I know you wouldn't think it from first glance, but there's so little people in there has to be a lot of weirdos. League of Legends. I'm not scared for me, but for them. They all adamantly warn you to stay away from LoL and say they hate playing the game yet can't stop. LoL also has the reputation of having extreme toxicity, so it sounds like they are all trapped by some invisible force in a mire of toxins. Anyone who is a diehard fan of a TikTok influencer, I don't even know who the influencers are, like Charlie D'Amelio? Who are you? CrossFitters. They're intense. That vegan teacher's fan base. She has a fan base? I thought people were mostly clowning her, which was also kind of rude, but whatever. What song hits different after you read the lyrics? A lot of them, but we'll see what people said. Greased Lightning. That song is filthy. When Rizzo says she skipped a period, I thought she cut class. Oh, you poor sweet innocent child. The Macarena. Song they played all the time for stuff when I was in elementary school. It's about a girl cheating on her boyfriend with multiple people while he's away. Also, this list is never complete without Semi-Charmed Kind of Life. Do you like pina coladas? I had no idea that song was about a married couple trying to cheat on each other and accidentally winding up on a date together. Hey Ya is the one that pops right away. It's a dance song with a depressing message. Barbie Girl by Aqua. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Kiss me here, touch me there. Hanky panky, you can touch, you can play. Who let me sing this when I was 5? Cats in the Cradle. I used to love it as a kid. Absolutely crushes me as an adult with children. What TV show is 10 out of 10 would recommend? The Chernobyl miniseries. I just wish I had HBO Max because then I could actually watch things people recommend. Band of Brothers. I mean, if you like war propaganda, then yeah. I'm kidding, it's probably good. 6 Feet Under. It was way ahead of its time and has one of the greatest endings in the history of television. That sounds pretty rare. A lot of shows end not so great. Malcolm in the Middle. It's hilarious and not really a kid's show. I recently rewatched the entire series and man, I cannot believe that show was on Fox. It is very progressive. Fleabag. Definitely. I also just recently watched Fleabag and man, the first season is great, the second season hurt me. What is something people need to stop making their only personality trait? Being dumb voluntarily. At a certain point, you need to take accountability and smarten up, okay? I do MMA and some people get a little over the top with it. One guy was 2 classes deep and now walks around in full UFC attire and walks around with his hand wraps on, LOL. On something someone else is excited about for no reason other than to be contrary. It's not cute or funny, you're just being a Zodiac signs. This is such an asparagus thing to say. Ugh, you would say that. Sounds like a popcorn to me. Disney. You're allowed to like what you like, but oh my god, please save your money. Stop going to Disneyland. What is a bedroom decoration that makes somebody unattractive? Bottles in the corner of their room. Speaking from experience, don't ask. Okay, I guess I won't. Knew a guy that had a framed professional photo of himself, shirtless, over the top of his bed. Was that Dennis Reynolds? Cause that sounds a little sociopathic. Dolls. Lots of dolls. Dolls that just stare at you. Dolls that judge your soul. Dolls that become possessed. A doll that suspiciously looks like your mother. While it could be coincidence, that's still a red flag. Pictures of their ex. I'd say it maybe depends on like the time frame of when they broke up, because if it's still recent, they might have just forgotten, but whatever. Live, laugh, love. If I see that as your primary aesthetic, I'm gonna live, laugh, leave your house. Are Scarface posters still a thing? Oh god, I hope not. Fluorescent lights. It makes everyone unattractive. That's why the only kind of LED bulbs you should be buying is that soft, warm light instead of like the harsh white, because oh, it's so bad. Parents of Reddit, what is the most unsettling thing you have heard/seen your child do? My son walked into the room butt naked holding a pair of scissors and asked why his younger sister didn't have a penis. He never explicitly said he was thinking of performing surgery on himself, but we kept a close eye on him for a few weeks and hid all the scissors. Good call, because that could have been very bad. When my daughter was learning her ABCs, one morning at breakfast, she sang all the way through for the first time. We congratulated her and asked if she'd been practicing at daycare. No, mommy's mommy taught me when I was in bed. Mommy's mommy died 3 years earlier. While it is a little creepy, at least G-Ma was helping the little girl out. My son went through a phase when he was 6 where he would write, "Help me, let me out," on everything. It was on all his drawings and he'd write it outside on the side of the house for the neighbors to see. Then he started writing, "Help me," backwards like some red rum shit. Turns out he was really into Goosebumps, and one of the episodes has a girl trapped in a mirror writing, "Help me." To the people looking into the mirror, "Help me" was backwards. Mystery solved. My kid is just a bit theatrical. Super unrelated to them, but just saying that like, oh, he's just theatrical, that seems like a way of asking if someone's gay, like, oh, is he, theatrical? I was putting my 3-year-old to bed and she said, "Mommy, can I tell you a story where we all get electrocuted?" Well, I want to hear it too. Yeah, you can't leave us on a cliffhanger like that. I went in to check on my sleeping daughter, who was 4 at the time, and she rolled onto her back back and muttered in her sleep, "I must not eat humans. Humans aren't food," and then rolled back onto her side. Well, at least you know she's trying to keep those affirmations. My 3-year-old won't poop unless I'm right there in front of him, locking eyes as he bores holes into my soul. So precious. When we first brought our baby daughter home from the hospital, my preschool son walked up to her in her crib, looked at her and said, "Hello, welcome back." I mean, to be fair, technically she did return to your house, just outside of the mother instead of inside. Who is one actor that was perfectly cast and for what role? Gandalf. If anyone besides Ian McKellen played him, the entire series would not be the same. Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. He was absolutely incredible. No other actor could have nailed the role the way he did, in my opinion. I genuinely felt like I knew him and felt protective of him in a way. Forrest was just too pure. I loved him. I've never felt so strongly in a movie that the actor connected with the character so much. It was magic to watch. The volleyball as Wilson in Castaway. Impeccable performance. I mean, if they had a football, it wouldn't work. Alan Rickman for Professor Snape. Also, Alan Rickman for Hans Gruber in Die Hard. James Earl Jones as Darth Vader's voice. Not to discredit the numerous actors in the suit over the years, but his voice, tone, and delivery is what made Darth Vader's character have that presence. And James is who most people remember as Darth Vader. Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada. I wouldn't have thought of her based on the character and instead would have thought of Nicole Kidman or someone more fashion. But she embodied the role in a way no one else could. She even got nominated for an Oscar. Aaron Paul as Jesse Pinkman. Yeah, really can't see anybody else playing him. Tony Stark as Robert Downey Jr. The man was born for the role. Edit. The most awesome thing is that you could exchange Tony Stark for Robert Downey Jr. and no one would even notice. Well, yeah, because they are the same person. Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow. Some actors really just own those characters and you could never see them as anybody else. What unconventional ingredient belongs in a burger? One time I didn't have buns for a burger, so I put tater tots in my waffle iron and used that as a bun. Holy ish, was delish. That actually sounds like an amazing idea. I need to go get some tater tots now. In Australia, it isn't unusual to see a slice of beetroot included. I've not seen it in any other country I visited. What is with this Australia place you keep talking about, doing weird things with beetroot? Come on. Thin slice of fried Granny Smith goes really well with cheese. I guess I'm not opposed to trying. Goat cheese, rocket, and portobello mushrooms. Not a huge fan of mushrooms, but maybe I'll give it a shot. Kimchi, because it's crunchy, but unlike lettuce, it's full of flavor. Doesn't work on every burger though. You know what? Thank you. Thank you for admitting that it isn't gonna work on everything. I like to put potato chips on mine. Well, that's just the backyard barbecue special. I once went to a place with a grilled cheeseburger where the bun was replaced by 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. It was delicious. A fried egg isn't bad. Oh, 100%. Fried eggs on burgers is slept on. It's so good. Sour cream. I had it on a bacon cheeseburger in Savannah, Georgia, and it was really quite good. Peanut butter. Just don't go out like Elvis. All right, well, I gotta get going. So thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, my name is Brandon, and I will talk to you another day. Bye. Ooh.